The Commission for Independent Education has changed the way schools will participate remotely in meetings. Moving forward, CIE will be using Zoom Webinar, and there are a few differences to be aware of. The first process to be aware of is registration. When you click on the invitation link on CIE's homepage, you will be taken to a registration page. This page has 5 questions that must be filled in: first name, last name, email, confirmation of your email, and organization name. After you register, you will receive an email that includes the Zoom link to access the webinar. Please do not share this link, as it will only work with one device per registrant. If you have multiple people calling in, they should all register individually. On the day of the meeting, we advise you to have only one device in the room. Multiple devices in the same room can lead to audio problems that make it difficult for the commissioners to hear you and for you to hear them. If you have multiple people from your team on the call, they should all be in separate locations. When the meeting starts, all of the schools will be listed as attendees. Attendees cannot display their video camera and cannot turn on their microphone unless asked to do so by a moderator. But attendees can ask questions using the Q&A feature. Please note, questions are displayed publicly, so do not put any sensitive or private information in the Q&A. During the meeting, when your school is recognized, you will need to raise your digital hand, which will help moderators find you in the list of attendees logged into the meeting. When this happens, you will be asked to unmute your microphone. Once you unmute yourself, you will be able to speak. If you call in using a phone instead of a computer, you can raise your digital hand by pressing *9 and unmute yourself by pressing *6. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. The Commission for Independent Education has changed the way schools will participate remotely in meetings. Moving forward, CIE will be using Zoom Webinar, and there are a few differences to be aware of. The first process to be aware of is registration. When you click on the invitation link on CIE's homepage, you will be taken to a registration page. This page has 5 questions that must be filled in: first name, last name, email, confirmation of your email, and organization name. After you register, you will receive an email that includes the Zoom link to access the webinar. Please do not share this link, as it will only work with one device per registrant. If you have multiple people calling in, they should all register individually. On the day of the meeting, we advise you to have only one device in the room. Multiple devices in the same room can lead to audio problems that make it difficult for the commissioners to hear you and for you to hear them. If you have multiple people from your team on the call, they should all be in separate locations. When the meeting starts, all of the schools will be listed as attendees. Attendees cannot display their video camera and cannot turn on their microphone unless asked to do so by a moderator. But attendees can ask questions using the Q&A feature. Please note, questions are displayed publicly, so do not put any sensitive or private information in the Q&A. During the meeting, when your school is recognized, you will need to raise your digital hand, which will help moderators find you in the list of attendees logged into the meeting. When this happens, you will be asked to unmute your microphone. Once you unmute yourself, you will be able to speak. If you call in using a phone instead of a computer, you can raise your digital hand by pressing *9 and unmute yourself by pressing *6. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. The Commission for Independent Education has changed the way schools will participate remotely in meetings. Moving forward, CIE will be using Zoom Webinar, and there are a few differences to be aware of. The first process to be aware of is registration. When you click on the invitation link on CIE's home page, you will be taken to a registration page. This page has 5 questions that must be filled in: first name, last name, email, confirmation of your email, and organization name. After you register, you will receive an email that includes the Zoom link to access the webinar. Please do not share this link, as it will only work with one device per registrant. If you have multiple people calling in, they should all register individually. On the day of the meeting, we advise you to have only one device in the room. Multiple devices in the same room can lead to audio problems that make it difficult for the commissioners to hear you and for you to hear them. If you have multiple people from your team on the call, they should all be in separate locations. When the meeting starts, all of the schools will be listed as attendees. Attendees cannot display their video camera and cannot turn on their microphone unless asked to do so by a moderator. But attendees can ask questions using the Q&A feature. Please note, questions are displayed publicly, so do not put any sensitive or private information in the Q&A. During the meeting, when your school is recognized, you will need to raise your digital hand, which will help moderators find you in the list of attendees logged into the meeting. When this happens, you will be asked to unmute your microphone. Once you unmute yourself, you will be able to speak. If you call in using a phone instead of a computer, you can raise your digital hand by pressing *9 and unmute yourself by pressing *6. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at the next meeting.
Good morning, everyone. This is October 23rd, 2024 for the Commission for Independent Education. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order, and then I will turn it over to Vice Chair Williams.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Commission for Independent Education, and I am Trey Williams, Vice Chair. Today is October 23rd, 2024, and this meeting was rescheduled from its former date, September 27th, due to Hurricane Milton. Ms. Hood, would you mind calling the roll, please?
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Whitaker.
Here.
Commissioner Cross.
Present.
Commissioner Taylor Ellis. Commissioner Marty. Commissioner Stefano.
Present.
All right, thank you. It's time for the Pledge of Allegiance. If you please rise with me, and I'll lead it off. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for all.
All right, thank you for joining us this morning. This meeting has 2 viewing options. You can only choose one of those 2. You can navigate to the Commission's agenda information webpage and click on the webcast link, which is available for today. And today's agenda addresses degree granting institutions. These links will direct you to a live video feed of the meeting that will be used for viewing purposes only. This option does not allow you to communicate with Commission staff. Please use option 2 if you need to communicate with the Commission during today's meeting. Navigate to the same webcast links and referenced a moment ago and locate the Zoom webinar registration link. There's a separate registration link for each day, and you must register separately for each day. That would send a confirmation email that contains instructions of how to proceed. When you register, please note the following. You have to separate registration for each user. You don't want to share logins. When registering, enter your school name as it appears on the agenda. Confirmation email contains instructions for dialing in if you'd like to dial in. And if your school is called, please raise your digital hand and unmute yourself. During the meeting, please ensure your devices and phones, etc., are muted unless you're speaking with the Commission. It's recommended that only one device be in the room to avoid feedback. And for users who want to use the dial-in feature, you can press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute your phone. And there's some Zoom instructions at the website link identified on the CIE website if you need additional help. We are obviously skipping the introduction of visitors, although I would like to say thank you for being here this morning, and sorry we did not get to meet in person. I'm sure most of us would have rather been together than navigating the complexities of the hurricane. And we will move directly to the agenda, which begins. Let me make sure I'm looking at this right. I am looking at it right. Okay. With non-degree institution licensures, which there are 5 in Section A, institutions ordered to appear back before the commission. And I believe the very first is Cruz Institute Kissimmee, number 6155. If you're here from that institution, please raise your digital hand to unmute and introduce yourself.
Good morning, it's Dr. Otero Consulting Group. I'm here with the owner of Cruz Institute.
Good morning.
Antonio
Good
Cruz,
to meet you.
the owner of Cruz Institute.
All right. I know we've got a financial progress report. If you guys got multiple devices on in your room there.
Can you say that again?
Perhaps. Do you have multiple devices in the room? I'm hearing myself.
No, we're actually in a conference room, but we're wondering if our cell phones are starting to affect the device on the center of the room.
Perhaps there. I know we have a financial progress report in place, and maybe you can tell us a little about how things are current year to date rather than where that progress report closed out, because I know our information is always a little delayed.
I'm not here today. Give me 1 second. ¿Qué es lo que está pasando? Las condiciones, ¿qué están haciendo? ¿Tiene dinero?
Yeah, we okay.
So much trouble.
Okay. This is Antonio from Cruz Institute. We're doing great for this year. What was the other question? And can you please talk slowly because my English is not really good.
I was asking how things have been after the closeout of your financial progress report, which is a little delayed between when that closed out and when we're now seeing it, just from a performance standpoint.
¿Cómo están las cosas? Trabajando, todo bien, pero si tienes dinero,
Oh, yes.
que hiciste la expansión, eso fue parte de
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry about that. Otero is translating to me in Spanish. I got a little problem to try to understand what you're saying. So far, so good. We spending in the school. We actually trying to make 2 rooms more so we can have more students, and we having more students since the last financial review that we did.
Commissioners, do you have questions or comments? All right. Is there any public comment on the matter? Hearing none, I would ask for a motion to accept staff recommendations.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. The staff recommendation is adopted. Thanks for being here this morning. Good job on your financial progress. We look forward to watching it closely in the future. All right, our number 2, Donatello School of Nursing and Healthcare. Thank you, guys. Our number 2 is Donatello School of Nursing and Healthcare, and APOPCA number 9048. Staff recommendations have been provided. If you're here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute yourself, and introduce yourself.
Good morning, it's Dr. Otero again, and I'm here with the owners of Donatello School of Nursing and Healthcare.
Good morning, my name is Natasha Nicholas. I'm the owner here with my husband, Rico Nicholas.
Thank you for being here this morning. I would defer to Commissioner Cross and Whitaker have a better depth of knowledge about the NCLEX progress. They find that to be satisfactory than I would. Do either of you have questions about the progress report?
Yeah, I'd like to know, obviously it trended downward on Q2, but just wanted to know how your Q3 is looking. I know it's not out yet publicly, but I'm sure you're doing your own tracking. Can you give us an update on Q3?
A student that has went. Sorry. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. For the last quarter that finished September, we did do better this time. We have a student that went and passed. As far as our remediation plan, our students just finished with the new remediation plan. So we're working with the students as far as the UWorld school, where they have to start it within the program. We also have a program that I do with the students called NCLEX and Coffee, where they come in and we do NCLEX review with them. So we are doing a lot better. I wouldn't have a definite number to the end of this quarter because I have more students testing within this month and next month.
So you do not have Q3? You're not required to. I just know every nursing school tracks that just manually until the published reports come out. So I'm just curious to know how you're trending in Q3.
So that's the one, we have one pass and one fail for September.
Okay. Thank you.
How many students will be taking the NCLEX in Q3?
We have 8 scheduled as of right now.
Okay.
That'd be Q4. If you have 8 scheduled, that's Q4. Q3 completed. It sounds like she had 2 testers, 1 pass.
Gotcha. Okay. Right now we have their passage rate at, I believe, 23%. So let's just hope that Q4 goes better.
Hearing this, for some reason, it shows that we keep getting muted on your end.
Dr. Otero, there is feedback on your side. It looks like there are 2 devices open, so our team is going back and forth to try to mute one of those to avoid the feedback situation. So if you see it coming, that's what we're trying to mitigate that issue. And Commissioners,
Director, was there any concern about that ongoing pass rate? I know staff recommendation was to accept that NCLEX.
yes, so we will continue to monitor this situation. So this is anytime that they send us the progress report, we accept the progress report that they have submitted it to the commission. That is kind of the action that you are taking now. But we will continue to monitor this. I did have a question for the institution themselves in relation to their academic progress remediation plan. And on it looks like it's on page 2 of their plan. The first action item says the institution is changing its exit examination scores from 75% to 90% to pass both exits. Can the school speak to how this is being communicated to students and whether the current students will also be subject to this exit examination score change?
So students have been notified, we do have it in writing. The current students, yes, they have to pass with the 90 in order to complete the project and sit for inputs.
And how did you notify those students?
And all the students were mandated to be there at the meeting, and so they were notified in person.
Thank you. We may have some additional discussions with your institution related to the notification of that change, but we'll talk outside of this meeting.
All right, if there's no further discussion or public comment on the matter, I'll ask for a motion to accept staff recommendations.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right. Thank you for the discussion. Next item on the agenda is Miami Ad School number 3086. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Henry Mairena. I am the Managing Director for Miami Ad School.
Good morning. I am here as well. My name is Roxandra Tipa, Chief Financial Officer with Miami Ad School.
And I'm Maureen Harris, the Compliance Director at Miami Ad School.
Thank you all for being here this morning. Really appreciate your time. Can you give us sort of the same answer to the same question? Our information always delays a little bit, and there's always a period through which you've submitted some progress, but then the real world keeps moving forward. So maybe how Q3 is going, what kind of trajectory you're on, and whether that progress has continued to date.
Sure. Yeah, our progress is steady, slow, but steady. We are seeing that our engagement with the advertising and the local community and teachers, agencies, and the teachers and the students is working. Is going well, not as fast as we would like to, but it's looking very positive.
I would like to add that in terms of enrollment, we've seen for this last quarter a slight increase, which is very promising, and we expect it to carry on into 2025 as well.
Well, I'm glad to hear that slight increase. What do you attribute that to?
Our marketing efforts mainly, our restructuring, our teachers, and the new school facility. We renovated, we provided updated equipment over the last 2 years. And like Henry Mairena mentioned earlier, our re-engagement with the community, with the advertising agencies is paying off. We see more traffic in our school now.
Yeah, one more thing to add. Yeah, we're creating a lot of events in-house, and for the students, the current students, we are creating events for the agencies, for the outside people. So everybody knows that Miami Ad School is sort of like back in business, and so yeah, it's working out really good because people are reaching out to us that they want to participate, they want to collaborate with Miami Ad School. So like I say before, it is positive. It's slow and hard. It's not easy, but it's still positive.
Well, sometimes consistent incremental advancement is more sustainable than faster, more significant. So we'll take the slowness of it, so long as we maintain that trajectory. And good job on making those turns around. Commissioners, any discussion or questions?
Yeah, Chair, I have a follow-up question. I know that I believe your parent company injected about $2 million of capital to help with the operation, and $400,000 of that was invested in marketing and admissions. Is that going to be needed and required to sustain, or do you think you guys will be? And I want to know what the impact was of that. I know you said there's some slow progress, but what are you seeing? Higher level of enrollments? What kind of enrollments are you seeing due to that investment?
Yes, thank you for the question. You are correct. The numbers are correct. The investment will be continued. The parent company is our sole source of financing at the moment, so we do not have any other creditors. In terms of enrollment at the Miami campus, we currently have about 40 students, and we're looking and continuing in the 25 with the same efforts. We projected an increase in enrollment. We are aiming to have next quarter about 50 students and so on. We have continuous enrollment.
Great.
Yes.
Well, it's
In
nice that you
terms
have
of
that. I'm sorry.
In terms of the capital injection, it is steady as well, and it's on time, which helps our operations smoothen very nicely. We don't experience any delays in our operations at all because of the steady financing.
Is there another location outside of Florida?
Yes, we have a location in New York and another one in Atlanta.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like you guys are on the right path. So keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, if there's no further discussion or public comment on the matter, can I ask for a motion to accept staff recommendations?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for being here, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the Barbering Academy Doral number 9049. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
Good morning. Yes, Disnet Rivron, Director and CEO for the Barbering Academy.
Maria Espinoza, Director of Student Services for the Barbering Academy.
Good morning, ladies. Thank you both for being here.
Our pleasure.
I'd love to hear the answer to sort of a similar question about the period between what we have information on and today. I know everyone in Florida has taken it on the chin in Q3, but how did your Q3 go?
It actually went pretty well. We had our graduating class, we had a lot more student placements. We had more time since the previous graduating class, so that helped a lot.
What do you attribute those increased placements to? I mean, is it an awareness of your brand?
Our 2022, I'm sorry, what was your question? Were you asking the reason or the numbers?
Well, no, you said that you had an increase in placements. I'm wondering how you achieved that.
Yes, well, we increased in placement. Like I mentioned previously, we had more time after the graduating class. Our first placement numbers weren't that good because we had a graduating class, I believe it was in May. And by the end of June, we had to submit the data collection to the CIE. So we only really had a month for that. So we've had a lot more time now, and we've had more engagement with barbershops. We're doing workshops, mock interviews. So that's helped.
Yeah, a few weeks of downtime between completion and submission is a narrow window to show percentages. Understood. Thank you for that. Commissioners, any additional discussion? Any public comment on the matter? Hearing none, I'd ask for a motion to accept staff recommendations.
So
moved.
moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thanks for being here, ladies. Keep up the good work.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
All right, the last item of this section, Universal Training Center, Wilton Manors, number 5419.
The whole business list.
If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
There is no one on the line.
Thank you, Director. It looks like the on-site business closed out relatively recently here for you guys, so not a big window between the two, the fire inspection. All right. Commissioners, any discussion? All right, any public comment? Hearing none, I'd ask for a motion to accept staff recommendations.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion to accept staff recommendation carries. We can close out section A and move on to section B. There are 7 items in this. As I understand it, Director, we are removing item number 4.
That is correct.
But we are taking them individually regardless, so we'll go through these 6 one at a time. The first being Dental Auxiliary Training Center, Naples. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
There is no one on the line.
Well, that's unfortunate. I was hoping to hear about storm surge and business interruption out of Naples.
That would not have been likely. It appears that they are not active at this point.
Yeah.
I understand correctly.
Commissioners,
Yeah,
we
no,
actually
they
do have
may
a
have-
person that joined.
Okay.
Good morning. This is E.G. here, William Barber School.
Our apologies. That is the wrong school. This is Dental Auxiliary Training Center, Florida. Is there anyone on the line for Dental Auxiliary Training Center, Florida? There is not.
Okay. Well, then whatever delay that may have been exacerbated is not going to change staff recommendations. So if there's no other discussion, do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries for number 5516. We can move forward to Doxa Academy, Vero Beach, number 13087. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Angeline Diogini. I am the owner of Doxa Academy.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How's everybody doing?
Not bad. Are you aware that Doxa is also a really famous dive watch brand?
No, I wasn't, but knowing the meaning, I can see why.
What is that meaning? I'm unaware.
Doxa means glory.
Ah. Well, I'm a watch nerd, so thanks for indulging me for a moment there. Ma'am, do you understand the staff recommendations as presented that we're reviewing here today? Do you have questions or comments on that?
No, we are working and we'll be submitting the documents soon because we have them ready.
Outstanding. Commissioners, do you have questions or comments?
I have a question for the director. And I wanted to, in the staff recommendation, is it the PN program, is that conditional upon your approval, or is that something we could withhold and approve the location with all the other programs and not that program? I'm just concerned about the NCLEX pass rate in their other location and then opening another site with that PN program.
So the staff recommendations right now, the section, it's about halfway down after the submitting of documents within 90 days of the clerk's order. It says grant approval of the PN program upon the following contingencies. If the commission opts not to or to request that the school continue without that program currently, then we would remove the staff recommendation for that piece of it.
So is it customary to approve, I guess, another location when they're on a remediation plan in their only other location? I just worried about the success of that program and, spreading that instead of fixing that problem and correcting it and then open that program up later.
I agree.
Could we ask the institution about their current remediation efforts just to get a glimpse of what the status of that is? Because the PN rates at the other location are very concerning.
Yes, we started to use ATI with our students because we understand ATI has a 98% passing rate. We are using ATI with our students and we make it mandatory that they participate. Also, we're increasing our passing rate for the exit exam from 900 to 1,000. So that way we know once they're able to pass the exit exam with 1,000 or better, they will have no problem passing the NCLEX. Also, instead of 4 days, we want to use 3 days to cover didactic material, and the fourth day, usually on Thursdays, to go over NCLEX materials only. And lastly, after they complete the program, we want to make 2 months available with intense review for the NCLEX before they take the exit and then take the NCLEX exam. So these are changes we want to implement from day one with the new location, and we have started with our students in Melbourne.
When did you start with those changes in Melbourne?
We started a few months back in June, and in the beginning we had trouble getting students to participate, but we make it mandatory that they will not finish. So now we have more students coming to the classes for the NCLEX.
What is your Q3? I know it's not published yet, but how is your Q3 tracking for Melbourne for PN?
I don't have the exact passing rate, but we received quite a few texts in the last few weeks with our students passing.
Do you know how many testers you had?
For Q3, I believe we had about 6, and I believe at least 3 or 4 of them passed. But I don't have the official result. I would have to reach out to Board of Nursing to get it.
Thank you for the update. I just my belief is that we should probably get this corrected before expanding this program into another location. But that's my vote. But I'm not sure what the rest of the commission believes.
And commissioners, just to add a little bit of context to this for the institution to respond to or for further discussion, we had requested information about their faculty, and their statement was that they currently have 11 instructors and some substitutes in reserve should they need them. Therefore, we believe our instructors are planning to cover both campuses. So this may be a situation that they're utilizing instructors, the same instructors for both. Of an additional note, this other campus also has a CNA program that was just placed on probation with the Florida Board of Nursing.
I have one different question on the business plan. It appears that, and maybe it's just a typo, but everything showed Palm Bay, which is close to Melbourne. I looked it up on a map to see. I thought it was further down near Vero, but nothing on the business plan mentioned Vero Beach. So I'm assuming that's just a typo and probably just a copy of the old plan, is what I'm assuming. Because the new location is in Vero Beach, not Palm Bay, right?
Yes, it's in Vero Beach. It, could have been a typo, and we'll correct it and submit the new one, the new report.
Yeah. And given your information, Director, I'd feel more comfortable, approving with contingencies, the other programs, except for PN and CNA, given that the fact that they're put on the probation by the Florida Board of Nursing.
May I say something about the CNN?
Sure.
Yes, it was placed on hold for last year, but this year we are doing very good. For the third quarter, we had about 10 testers and all of them have passed. So I do expect to get out of probation by January coming up with the CNA.
That's a really good update. Director, do you have any other information that would supports that or counters that information?
If you'll give me 1 second, we're going to pull up from the Florida Board of Nursing the scores that are on record as of today.
Okay.
While the director is doing that, let me pose two questions. One to the institution and another to staff. To the institution, supposing that someone does not pass with a score of 1,000 as opposed to 900, the exit exam, what options are available to them at that point? What exactly do you do at that point to help these students? Moreover, if a student doesn't pass the NCLEX, what happens with that student? What provisions do you have in place to help them with?
I'm sorry. We have an NCLEX review every Friday that students attend at our expense. And the instructor is well versed with NCLEX material. So if they don't make the 1,000-point mark, they have to keep attending class until they pass the exit with the 1,000. In the beginning, I guess what they were doing is they were not attending as much. Now that we make it mandatory, so they are attending the review classes we have.
And it's the same requirement if they don't pass the NCLEX itself? I mean, is that made available to them for them to attend those Friday review sessions, or how does that work?
Yes, we also have review classes available for our students.
And the question I have for staff, or Director Hurst, is I'm inclined also to put the brakes on expanding this program until there's evidence that these remediation strategies are effective. However, thinking or in consideration of the institution, if they can demonstrate improvement and robust scores at a date sooner than when they would be applying for renewal, are there any mechanisms by which they could come before the commission to be reconsidered prior to that point?
So this is their application for provisional licensure. So this is the first time that this institution or this campus would be receiving a license from the institution. So the current statutory requirement would have them on a provisional status until they get their first annual, and then they could apply for those new programs. And to speak to your questions earlier about the program, the CNA program that is on probation at the Melbourne campus, the 2022 scores were 85.7%. In 2023, they were at 40% with 10 testers. Quarter one of 2024 was at 60% with 5 testers. and quarter 2 of 2024 was 50% with 8 testers.
I'm wondering if there is a contingency to capture the spirit of the discussion we're talking about here that may be part of a revised staff recommendation.
Chair Williams, if I may.
Yes, of course.
So if this commission wishes to, it can grant the applications in part. I believe it is certainly to the discretion of you commissioners, but I believe that there is a sufficient factual basis. If this commission wants to grant the institution a provisional license, but not grant approval for the operation of either or both of the PN program or the CNA program, I just want to read out loud the relevant language from Section 1005-38-4 Florida statutes. The Commission may deny an application for any operating status if the Commission determines that the applicant or its owners, officers, directors, or administrators were previously operating an institution in this state or in another state or jurisdiction in a manner contrary to the health, education, or welfare of the public. So I believe that there has been sufficient factual evidence presented that this commission determines that this institution has previously, that its owners and administrators have previously operated an institution containing these programs, either or both of these programs, in a manner contrary to the education of the public, to deny them a license to operate these particular programs, either or both of them at this time. And of course, that would be without prejudice to the institution applying to add these programs at a later date once they have achieved an annual license.
Commissioner Cross, does that capture the spirit of your concern, you too, Dr. Stefano?
Yes, sir, for me.
Yes, I think so. So that's spot on. I really appreciate that.
Director, do you guys want a moment to perhaps compose how this might be worded?
Yes, if you'll give us just a moment. Is the commission's desire to grant the application in part as spoken previously with Mr. Junta, to grant the application in part, but not grant the CNA and the PN programs?
That's my vote.
Correct.
And then I would just make a couple of recommendations that we state for the record the precise factual basis for that denial. I would recommend, if there's agreement with what I voiced earlier, that the clerked order cite Section 1005-38-4 Florida statutes, and it sounds to me, and please, commissioners, correct me if I'm mistaken, it sounds to me that the factual basis for the denial of the approval of those two programs would be the historically low PN scores at the other campus, and we can cite that in the clerked order, as well as the CNA program at the other campus being placed on probation. Was there any other factual basis, Executive Director Hurst?
That is it.
So,
and to be, can I ask a quick question? I want to make sure I'm understanding. So we're saying that those could be applied for and added once provisional moves to annual. We're not putting a more narrow time frame on that based on some other evidence that shows is contrary to the facts that are precipitating this conversation.
that's correct. So once the institution has, well, I should say, if they ever qualify to hold an annual license, at that time, they can apply, just like any other institution, to add a new program. To be clear, the motion is not to guarantee that they would be granted that, but they would have the same fair opportunity as any other institution to apply for a new program. And this commission would have the opportunity to consider all of the pertinent information at that time, whatever that is.
If I may, my question about whether there might be a strategy for them to apply sooner was under the hypothetical assumption that the scores were trending upwards, but I've been disabused of that hypothetical assumption, and therefore I do think that the standard process for adding programs at or upon annual renewal is fitting.
Yeah, that's why I was asking that, Commissioner Spano. I was wondering if there's a mechanism that allows for us to throw in the request for substantiation of that upward trend sooner than the provisional would convert to an annual, in the interest of serving the public and the demand for CNA. Totally get it. So I don't know what that looks like, but I think it's a question worth asking.
Right. But in this case, given that the trend does not appear to be in that direction, what we're essentially saying is that the period of provisional status would constitute the scope of evidence required to demonstrate an effective program. And I think that that's supported by the fact that there are shared resources. There is not an outline for how the new program will be structurally or programmatically distinct from current efforts, which offers no substantial basis for thinking that it would perform any different than the other institution. If there were, for instance, radically distinct admission requirements, then perhaps that would hypothetically steer it on a different course. But as things stand, the current direction of our discussion seems fitting.
Okay.
And just to clarify, under this commission's rules, an institution cannot add new programs while it holds a provisional license. And its initial license, when a school is initially licensed, that provisional status is for at least 1 year. It can be extended at the discretion of this commission. I don't, one more item, commissioners, you might want to ask the institution, because I don't think we ever got a clear answer on this, on whether the proposal was that the same faculty who are teaching the CNA program and or the PN program at the other campus were slated to teach either of these programs at the proposed Vero Beach campus. I don't think we ever got an answer to that.
We have 4 instructors dedicated for Vero Beach alone, and we have their 402 forms, and we will be sending them in. So Vero Beach, because of the distance from Melbourne, will have their own instructors.
Madam, are those 4 instructors, have they previously been instructors of either the PN or the CNA program at the other campus?
No, they are new instructors, newly hired.
Director Hurst, you mentioned that there was shared faculty, and I'm curious to know where we had that information from. I think you mentioned to that. I think you alluded to that.
Yes, so I am looking at both their response to the commission as well as their faculty listing. So if we're looking at the faculty between Melbourne and Vero, it appears that out of the 10 faculty at the Melbourne location, 6 of them are also at the Vero.
We initially wanted to use the instructors for both campuses, but because of the distance, we have decided to have instructors separate from Melbourne and Vero Beach.
And has that faculty been provided, the updated faculty, has that been provided to the commission at this time?
No, because they are newly hired. So I was waiting to submit the information after the meeting. But I have their 402 forms and their licenses, and I will be sending them in to Ms. Davis shortly.
Director or Counselor, you guys want to craft a revision that captures this for a moment? It sounds like we got some consistency here.
So just so we're clear, is the motion to grant the application for provisional license in part without approval of the PN or NA program, CNA program?
Commissioners?
I believe so, with the two additions. One is you stated that it would record the factual findings and basis for this statement. And number two, perhaps we can request a revised business plan with the correct information.
Commissioner Cross, you comfortable with that?
Yes, sir.
If that is the motion, that's been stated for the record, and we can have a vote on that.
All right. Then do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations with revisions as noted?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations, guys. Thank you for indulging the conversation here. It's our intent to make sure that you guys are as successful as possible and students are as well. We appreciate your patience during the discussion.
Thank you.
Okay, that would move us forward to number 3, Monarch Beauty Institute, West Palm Beach, number 12989. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute yourself, and introduce yourself. Director, do we have anybody?
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. How are you?
Hey, I'm so sorry. I wasn't sure if you were able to hear me. So I'm Juan Montero. I'm the translator of the owner. The owner is Samantha Gomez. She's sitting right beside me.
Do you have multiple devices?
Samantha Gomez.
No, we do not. We're only using an iPad.
Okay. We got a little.
Let me see.
¿Qué?
Que tenemos varios devices.
No, solo ese.
Let me
We can accommodate if need be. Commissioners, do you have questions or comments about staff recommendations? Sir, do you guys have any questions or comments and are aware of staff recommendations?
No, we have no questions at the moment.
Outstanding. If that is the case, do we have any public comment on the matter? Then I think we could move for a motion to accept staff recommendations for number 12989 Monarch Beauty Institute.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Sir, thank you for being here and patient this morning. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Number 4 in the section is Mount Zion School of Health, Green Acres, number 10169. Staff recommendations are provided to you. If you are here from that institution, please raise your.
This one was withdrawn.
Oh, you're right. I circled a 4 and drew a line through it.
No problem. Yeah, this one's withdrawn, so it will not be considered at this meeting.
Sorry. I had my momentum. I even wrote it down, and I still did that. So now we can jump to number 5, which is Pompano Beauty Academy, right? Number 13117. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
Hello, good morning. My name is Anisha McDonald, and I'm the owner of Pompano Beauty Academy. Good morning, all commissioners.
How's your morning so far?
It's going well. How about you guys?
Never better.
Good.
Do you have any questions or comments about the staff recommendation that is before us?
No, sir, I do not have any questions.
Outstanding. Commissioners, do you have questions or comments for Ms. McDonald? All right. Then if that is the case, do we have any public comment on the matter? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Then that motion carries. Congratulations, Ms. McDonald. Staff recommendations
you.
are adopted.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you. All right, we can move to number 6, which is Silver Hearts Health Institute in Cocoa, number 6274. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
There is no one on the line.
As always with these nursing programs, I'll defer to the expertise of the commissioners who have a greater depth of knowledge than I about that. You guys have any questions regarding staff recommendations on this?
I do not. They've lost Board of Nursing approval, I think in December of 2023. Failure to submit most of everything they've been required to submit. So
yep.
I believe the staff is recommended proper.
Sure. All right. Then do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Staff recommendations are adopted. That would move us on to the last item of this section, number 7, which is the Barbering Academy, Miami Gardens 13026. If you are here from that institution, please unmute and introduce yourself.
Yes, hello again, this is Net Riveron Perdomo for the Barbering Academy, Miami Gardens.
Maria Espinoza, Director of Student Services for Miami, the Barbering Academy, Miami Gardens.
I'm a little curious about the student services role. Can you help me understand your purview, ma'am?
Yes, of course. So basically, I keep track. I'm the one who does the submission for all student data to the CIE. I keep track of our enrollment numbers, of our withdrawals, if there's any students that are failing behind in the program or have to be withdrawn, and so on, things like that. Anything that has to do with students, graduation, placement.
And do you guys have any updates of the contingencies within staff recommendations? Any questions or comments about what is required?
No questions and comments. I believe to date, everything that has been requested has been provided.
Sure. Okay. Commissioners, any discussion? All right, public comment? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Staff recommendations are adopted. Thank you for being here. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
That moves us on to section C. There are 13 items we plan to take individually. However, there are a few that I believe Director numbers 1, 6, and 9. Can remind me of the nuances associated with those that I have written down, please.
Yes, so number 1 has been moved from consideration and will be considered at a future commission meeting, and number 6 and number 9 are being moved to section F.
Okay. So that means we can skip directly to number 2, Altruistic Beauty Academy, Clearwater, correct?
That is correct.
All right, number 11427, if you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
Hi, this is Christina Sisler, CEO and School Administrator of Altruistic Beauty Academy.
Good morning, Ms. Sisler. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
Do you have questions about the contingencies within staff recommendations? There looks to be really only one.
I do not have any questions.
Outstanding. Commissioners, any discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, I would take a motion to accept staff recommendations.
So move.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries to accept staff recommendations. Congratulations, Ms. Sisler. Thank you for being here and being patient.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Have an incredible day.
You too. All right, that moves us to number 3, Beauty Massage Institute Winter Park, number 8987. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
There is no one on the line.
Outstanding. Director, do you have any updates to the contingencies for on-site visits? Is everything still as noted?
Everything is still as noted.
All right. Commissioners, do you have any discussion about Beauty Massage Institute? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. That moves us to number 4. If I'm pronouncing it correctly, it would be Blue Soleil Nursing Institute Training School in Lauderhill, number 9115. You are here from that institution. Please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
There is no one from the institution.
All right. Well, given that staff recommendations are to deny that annual license, probably not much to discuss unless the commissioners feel otherwise. So do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for number 9115?
So move.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. That moves us to number 5, Clark's Cosmetology School in Lakeland, number 10149. You are here from that institution. Please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself. Suppose there's no one here from that one, Director. Are there any, since there is an order to cease enrollments
Sorry,
and
Vice
an
Chair,
orderly.
there is a person on the line. I think they're just having difficulty unmuting.
Okay.
Miss Moore, we can see you, but we are unable to hear you. The individual is unmuted, but we are unable to hear her.
This is Alex Potter from Northwest Lineman Center. I don't know if I'm the right person.
Nope, sorry, Mr. Potter.
No worries.
We'll get back to you, but thank you
Wait,
for.
what's going on right now?
Thank you, but not you just yet. Yeah, we're unable to hear her.
Okay. Director, are there any revisions or updates given that there is an order to cease enrollments and conduct an orderly closure? Or are we looking for a motion as indicated?
Vice Chair, can we, because she appears to be there, but she looks like she may be having some technical difficulties in talking, and since this is a denial of her annual license, if I could make a request of the commission to put this at the end of this section, and then we can see if at that point she has her issues resolved, so then we can speak to her.
Absolutely. Ma'am, we're going to jump to number 7 and 8 and then circle back around because you are number 5 and we are skipping number 6, right? And we'll be back in just a moment while we sort through those technical difficulties. That moves us for the time being to number 7, which is Gulfside Medical Training Institute, Fort Myers, number 10285. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
Hi, good morning. This is David Posner. I'm co-owner and clinical coordinator for GMTI.
And good morning, Pamela Fletcher, owner and program director for GMTI.
Mr. Fletcher, Mr. Posner, thank you for being here. Appreciate your patience. How are you this morning?
Doing well, thank you.
Very good, thanks.
Well, I know you're in Fort Myers, so I have to ask how things were with the storm.
Could have been worse.
Could have been worse. We
No
lucked
doubt.
out. Parking lot got a little flooded. Didn't enter the school, so we're lucky on that. And the houses were spared. So we
was
a little
student
bit of power
matriculation
loss.
interrupted in any way? How are you guys catching back up from any downtime due to power or otherwise?
Yes, we had to cancel classes just that week. There was 2 days that had to be canceled. And
Well, we had Helene the week before.
Yes.
So on the 27th, we had Helene, and then we had these 2 days during Milton. So what we did was we just added one more week onto the end of the program, which moved our graduation date to the 3rd of January. And because it'll be over the Christmas breaks, so we did the 27th and the 31st with a grad date of Friday, which is January the 3rd. And we've already made the 8 hours up from Milton. We just had a Saturday 8-hour class on Saturday, this past Saturday.
Yes, ma'am. That's what a lot of folks are being forced to do. Thank you for that. I know it's something we're all navigating. Commissioners, is there discussion? And do either of you guys have questions or comments about staff recommendation?
No, staff recommendations. The statement was sent. It's under Standard 6, page 82, I believe, and the Student Protection Fund was sent. I have the cancel check here. It was posted on May 29th with Form 206 that was sent in. If you need us to resubmit that through email, I can resend that again if it's needed.
Director, was this just one of the delays between submission and preparation, or did you guys not know that was submitted?
So the financial statement may be that case where we haven't gotten to that piece of the contingency, but it does sound like he stated that he submitted the payment of the SPF in May. So if you can reach out to us and provide us some documentation for that, and then we'll take a look at it to see if it just didn't make it to the comptroller's office, but we'd appreciate additional discussion. But you can leave it, as of right now, the commission has not received that payment, that Student Protection Fund payment, and that's why it's a contingency, but we'll be happy to work with the institution.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. I will email that as soon as this is done. And I want to say thank you because last year you gave me a recommendation to go meet with Career Source, and they took us on, and we're an approved school, and we've already had 4 students go through them, and we have more coming.
Outstanding. So you're working with the Southwest Career Source?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. The one in Fort Myers.
Yeah, they're a great group of people down there. And honestly, given the storm and everything that's going on, they're more important than ever for so many displaced workers in need of training. So I'm glad you guys got onto their ETPL. Good. You said you already had 4 come through? That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And we have more coming in. We're already getting registrations, a lot of registrations. I should say prospects for January.
Outstanding. Well, super demand, Lee County, one of the fastest growing counties in the nation. I'm sure you guys are going to continue to do well. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Any public comment? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Recommendations are adopted. Thank you guys for being here. Good luck navigating through the holidays and the hurricane recovery.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, we jump to number 8. I Teach Florida, Miami Lakes, number 6310. Staff recommendations are provided. If you're here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
There is no one on the line.
Director, it looks like one of the contingencies here was complete an on-site visit that perhaps has been conducted as it noted, or am I reading that wrong?
One moment, please. So the notes that we have, we did conduct a site visit in October of 2023, but this is a new site visit. So the recommendation is as stands.
Okay. And no, never mind. I understand now. Okay. Commissioners, any discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Staff recommendations are adopted. All right, we are moving number 9 to another section, which means we are circling back around to what I believe was number 5. Did I get that right, Director?
If you could finish out the rest of them, I think there's a couple left in this section.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I was thinking 9 was the last one. You're right. So that moves to number 10, Ricky Rescue Training Academy, Fort Myers, number 9105. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Jeremy Vandermeulen, CEO, owner of Ricky Rescue Training Academy.
Thank you for being here this morning, sir. How are you?
Doing well. Yourself?
Never better. I hate to be repetitive, but I'd really love to know how you guys were affected by the storm and how you navigated it out of Lee County down there.
We made out about the same as I heard from Gulfside Medical. We were fortunate with our school. With Ian a couple years ago, we got some water in the building and had to remodel, so we didn't have to go through that again. We did have to cancel class, the same as Gulfside Medical, and do a couple of makeup days, but could have been a lot worse.
Are you guys, given the nature of what you do and the demand for that, are you anticipating some increased student demand for those workers that perhaps have been displaced by the storm?
In the past, we've seen that with our fire side. We teach fire classes also.
Right.
Being fairly new on the EMS side, we haven't witnessed that firsthand, but I could definitely anticipate it.
Yeah. Commissioners, do you have discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations?
Move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thanks for being here, sir. Good luck navigating through the rest of your recovery.
Thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day.
All right, number 11, Technical Institute of Florida, Kissimmee, number 12607. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
Good morning, commissioners and staff. Can you hear me? This is Dr. Jose Otero at Otero Consulting Group.
We've got you, Dr. Otero. Can hear you.
All right, great. We switched to the other conference room. This one seems to be better. I'm here with the owner of the institution. Can you introduce yourself?
Lilibet Pares, the owner of the Technical Institute of Florida in Kissimmee.
Well, thank you for being here. It does indeed sound better, Dr. Otero. Thanks for making that move over. Do you and the representatives from school understand the staff recommendations? Have any questions or comment about that?
No, not at this time.
Commissioners, do we have discussion or questions? Hearing none, do I have public comment on that matter? Then can I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for Technical Institute of Florida, Kissimmee number 12607?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Otero, and thank you for being here, ma'am.
Thank you.
That moves us to number 12. Do some scrolling here. Advanced Academy, Jensen Beach, number 10170. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Paul Gagne. I'm from the Advanced Academy in Jensen Beach.
Thank you for being here this morning, sir.
No, my
Hopefully
pleasure.
you guys didn't get affected by any of the 126 tornadoes we had, some of which were right up the road from where you guys are.
Yeah, we well, I don't know. Yeah, you guys are right up the road. We definitely had a lot of tornadoes here. We actually had a community that got really tore up. There were a couple people died, but our students were unaffected and our clients were unaffected. We just had to close for a couple days, get everything cleaned back up. Still, some houses were without power for like a week, so we were kind of helping people with that for a little while. But yeah, we're okay. It could have been way worse.
Glad to hear it. Can you give us an update sort of everything we have trails by a few months, obviously, because of the nature of the timing here. Can you give us an update financially, how you guys are year to date?
Yeah, I actually have some information because I actually was looking at the recommendation letter, and I know that it has the year reporting for enrollment on there that ends in July 23. So we're kind of pushing back on reporting our numbers just because the Department of Education or the Department of Business and Professional Regulation is taking a little bit longer to approve their application. So we have students that are waiting like 10 to 15 weeks to take their test. So we're hoping to get a few more placements from that. So maybe in a couple of weeks, we'll report that. But as far as financials, we're up in 300+ thousand in tuition for this year. So we're doing really well with tuition. Our salon services are also contributing to our revenue. So it's about 70,000 from that. And we also have product sales that are also contributing. So we're doing well with financials. Is there anything specific I can answer? Anything?
No, it's just all, I think commissioners are always, curious about the time between the information that we're provided and the day we get to talk. That's all.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I can understand that. Absolutely.
Yeah. A lot can happen in 90 days, right? As we've learned in the past 10 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a little tough at first, but now we have our footing and enrollment is really consistent. So we're pretty happy. I mean, students they're graduating, they're passing their state boards, they're getting jobs. So, everything's going according to plan. We're kind of hoping for things to happen faster, which I'm sure every school owner says that.
Well, it's really bad luck to say everything is going according to plan, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't mean to jinx you, but thanks for that. I'm glad do you have any questions or comments, sir, about the staff recommendation?
I do actually. So the letter I have is from September 27th, and the staff recommendation, there's 3 items on there. I believe item 1 and 3 have already been done, but I don't know if that updates on your end or if I need to connect with our specialist to just make sure, but I'm 99% sure that those are already. Okay.
Yeah, I'm confident staff has it, and it just doesn't change the script out for what we have as a recommendation. So it just rolls over. Yeah.
Okay. And then I did inquire about the on-site visit. I just don't really know how to go about that. So I guess you're going to recommend I just email the specialist also to make sure that gets set up. I'm not quite sure how to go about that.
And
Director, is
commissioners,
that already set up?
just to speak to the institution, I don't have your exact date in front of me at the moment, but our on-site team will contact you and let you know what date you're scheduled. They usually give you the week, and then as they get closer, they'll give you the actual dates, but they'll contact you. But also feel free to reach out to your program specialist and see if your date has already been scheduled, and they'll be able to provide that to you as well.
Okay, that's perfect. I just wanted to make sure I'm doing everything I need to be doing.
Yes, you are fine. That is on
Okay.
our side to schedule the on-site visits. Thank you, though.
Okay, great. No problem. Okay, awesome.
Thank you for that. All right. Well, if there's no further discussion or public comment, do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
That moves us to number 13, my favorite branding of this section, Wolfgang Academy of Grooming in Ocoee, number 9107. If you're here from that institution, would you please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. Woody Whitcomb with Wolfgang Academy of Grooming. I'm the president and CEO.
Thank you for being here this morning, Mr. Whitcomb. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Never better. I love your brand name. I got to say, it's super cool.
Well, we actually use the name Wolfgang just based on the generosity of the founder of the Wolfgang chain. So we're not part of the chain. So I'm a franchisee, and I started the school and asked the founder if I could use his name just to get our brand started. So, yeah.
Do you have any questions or comments, sir, about the staff recommendations before us?
No, I believe we fulfilled the requirements left over from the staff visit on July 15th. So we forwarded the in compliance letter.
Yep. That looks consistent with what we're looking at. Commissioners, do you have questions or comments? Any public comment? Hearing none, then do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for number 9107?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you for being here, sir. We appreciate your patience and time.
Thank you.
All right, that lets us move back to number 5. Clark's Cosmetology School in Lakeland. We had some technical difficulties before number 10149. Director, do we sort through those? Do we have the opportunity to discuss?
Miss Moore, I can see you again. Are you able to hear us at this point? Miss Moore, you're unmuted, but we're still unable to hear you.
And no changes to the staff recommendation, Director, just because of the order to cease enrollments and orderly closure. I want to make sure that even though we can't hear her, we're addressing anything that is nuanced, or is it as indicated?
It is as indicated.
Okay. Well, technical difficulties aside, I would ask the commissioners if they have any questions or comments that we might be able to address without the ability to interact with Ms. Moore.
Since we can't hear Ms. Moore, has there been any communication with her and any response from her regarding these staff recommendations to the CIE staff?
So There are no changes to the recommendation. Staff is trying to reach out to see if they can actually contact her via phone. So if you'll give us just a second, but to also, just for the record, because she's not here to, or currently is unable to hear to discuss the deficiencies. The first deficiency based upon the following: the failure to submit a financial statement that demonstrates sufficient resources. That is due to a negative working capital of negative $29,578.71 and assets of $737.38.
If there's no further questions or comments or public comment, do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for number 10149?
So moved.
Commissioners,
Okay.
can you give me 1 minute? We did ask her to call in, so can we give her 1 minute to just attempt to call into the room?
No doubt. Do we want to take a 5-minute bio break or something now when we sort through that perhaps? Because then we can close the section out.
That would be great.
Let's do that. It's 10:26. Let's give 5 or 6 minutes and see if we can jump back on with her when we return.
Thank you.
Mrs. Moore, can you hear us? *6 to unmute. It's muted. Mrs. Moore, if you're on the phone line, would you please *6?
Yes, yes. Okay, now on the computer.
Miss Moore, if you would please mute your computer.
I'm sorry, you said again?
Please mute your computer. We will hear you through your telephone.
Okay, let me try that.
Yes, ma'am, and please stand by. We'll take up your application when the meeting is resumed.
Okay. Gotta go to settings.
All right. Then we are circling back around to number 5 of this section, Clark's Cosmetology School, Lakeland, number 10149. Ms. Moore, I know you're there. We're hoping you're able to unmute and have a conversation with us here. Perhaps.
Miss Moore, if you can press *6 and unmute yourself again, please. It appears Miss Moore dropped off the line again.
Okay. Well, given staff recommendations are not nuanced, altered, or revised, I think we can ask the commissioners if they have questions or comments, and if not, and no public comment, for a motion to accept staff recommendations for number 10149. Do I have a motion for?
I think, if I may, one of the questions that you posed before we paused to see if we could connect the representative, from the institution on the line, was whether or not there were any communications with CIE staff that would have any kind of substantial bearing on the current staff recommendations.
There are not. The recommendations stand as written.
Perfect. Thank you. So with that said, please, Trey, if you could continue.
Sure. Then as written, do we have a motion to accept staff recommendations?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries, and that closes out section C, or section D, of which there is only one from provisional to annual, which is, we know there's a representative on from Northwest Lineman. We talked to him a little earlier. So Northwest Lineman Center Edgewater number 5447. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
Good morning. This is Alex Potter, Compliance Analyst for Northwest Lyman Center.
Good to hear from you this morning, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing really well. I know even though you guys were on the other side of the state, there was some irony to the surge and wind that you experienced in the past few weeks. Did you have operational interruption, and how are you guys managing your way through that?
So just a moment. Let me see if I can't get our operations director. He's on this call. Nick, can you raise your digital hand and speak to this?
Yes,
I don't want to kill this thunder.
Yeah, good morning. This is Nick Bartling, Director of Operations, Florida Campus. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you now.
Fantastic. Good morning. Thank you. Yes, we did experience some slight disruption to our operations here, but since that, it was about a 2-day delay that we had experienced. And since that, we've made up the time, and we're currently on track for our originally scheduled graduation date at the end of January. Thank you.
Outstanding to hear. It always a little ironic when the lineman school gets disrupted by the hurricane, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys made it through with only a couple of days. I think we all have been saying the same thing, which is it could have been a whole lot worse for us.
Sir.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, we appreciate you guys being here this morning and always having such a great attention to detail, setting the standard in your industry there. Commissioners, do you have questions or comments for those representatives? Do you guys have questions or comments about the staff recommendations before the commission now?
Not at this time.
No, sir.
All right. It looks complete to us. So do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations moving Northwest Lineman from provision to annual number 5447?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. You guys are on to annual. Thanks for your patience and being here this morning and all the good work you do helping the whole nation and state get their power back.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you to the commission. Take care.
That moves us to section E. There are 4 items. Application for extension, pardon me, excuse me, extension of annual license. Do I have a motion to accept these items by consent?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will take these by consent. Now let's circle through and see if any of these would need to be pulled by the commissioners or the director. Commissioner Cross, anything you want to pull from this list?
Please give me a minute, Chair.
Sure thing. How about it, Dr. Stefano?
None at this time.
Commissioner Whitaker?
I do not. Thank you.
All right, Director?
I do not.
Okay. I don't either. With that, do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for section E, items 1 through 4?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Closing out section number E, items 1 through 4. Staff recommendations are adopted. Section F, there are 40 items, and we move. I have a note for number 14 here, Director, that I think may have been pulled from this list.
No. So for this particular section, we have 40 in this section plus 2 from the original section or original section C, which is the number 6 and number 9 from section C, which will be considered. So there are 42 in this section.
Why did I write down number 14 here? for that then?
It is the institution that I am going to pull.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm not crazy after all. Okay. Well, I mean, maybe, but at least I knew there was a reason. Then do I have a motion to accept these items by consent?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Director, you have noted number 14 that you would like to pull. Commissioner Whitaker, do you have items you would like to pull?
No others.
Commissioner Stefano?
1 second, please.
Sure thing. Commissioner Cross?
No others.
Take your time, Commissioner Stefano Rush. I'm looking as well.
I don't have any others at this time.
All right. I don't have any additional either. Then do I have a motion to so the item 6 and 9, let me make sure I'm going to say this right. We're taking those individually as an automatic pull from this section. Is that right, Director?
So the items 6 and 9 will become items number 41 and number 42 for this section.
And do they need to be pulled as a result of being relocated, or can they be taken by consent?
They can be taken by consent as well. And I'm sorry, I said
Okay.
that my math today is apparently very off. 40 plus 2 is 42, so not 41. So there are 42 in this section.
Okay.
So we would be voting on 1 to 13, 15 to 42. Is that correct?
That's what I was thinking, yes.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so then do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for items 1 through 13, 15 through 42 in section F?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The staff recommendations are accepted by consent for items 1 through 13, 15 through 42. That leaves number 14. Director, well, if you're here from that institution, which is Florida Tattoo Academy, Tarpon Springs, number 6281, please raise your digital hand, unmute and introduce yourself. And Director, I know you pulled this, so you have the floor.
There is no one on the line. So this one was pulled just for additional discussion if the institution wished to be present, since we are recommending a denial of annual license and in order to cease enrollments and conduct an orderly closure.
Okay. So then the motion would be for the staff recommendation as indicated.
That is correct.
All right, then do I have a motion to, well, let me ask the commissioners, do you have any discussion or questions about this? Any public comment? Then do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for number 14, number 6281, Florida Tattoo Academy?
So moved.
Oh, second. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and that closes out section F. There's only one item in G, so we will take it individually, obviously. That is application for license by means of accreditation, Cosmo Beauty School in Bonita Springs, 3253. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
There is no one on the line.
All right. Commissioners, do you have questions or comments? Any public comment? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept staff recommendation, section G number 1, Cosmo Beauty School number 3253?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries and takes us to section H, of which there are 17. items, and I do not believe any other additions or subtractions. So do I have a motion to accept these items by consent?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion to accept these items by consent carries. Director, you have none to pull from section H?
I do not have any to pull.
Outstanding. Commissioner Cross?
None.
Commissioner Stefano?
None at this time.
Commissioner Whitaker?
I do not.
Give me just one moment, please. I have none either. So do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for numbers 1 through 17?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. That moves us to section I, of which there are 4. I believe we are going to ask for a motion to take these by consent as well. Do I have a motion to set numbers 1 through 4 in section I by consent?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Director, you have none to pull from I, correct?
I do not have any to pull.
All right. Commissioner Cross, anything you'd like to pull, sir?
No.
Commissioner Whitaker?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Stefano?
None at this time.
I have none either. So then do we have a motion to accept staff recommendations for section I items 1 through 4?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries and takes us to section J, which is just one item. Motion for extension of provisional license for 1 year. That is Astute Health Learning Academy in Tamarack, number 9082. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
There is no one on the line.
All right. Director, this is a little tight window for January. Are we setting ourselves up for a timing challenge, or are you, is there I suppose they're not here. We can't ask this question, so I'm asking you. But I mean, it's a 1-year extension, but it's valid only through January 25. So I'm just making sure that they are in that position.
It is correct.
Okay. Then for section J number 1, do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries for Astute Health Learning Academy number 9082, which moves us into section K, motion for extension of license. There are 14 items in this section, and I'm going to ask for a motion to take these items by consent.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. While you guys look for any that you might like to pull, I want to ask the director about number 1. This extension for is just, it's 5 weeks. And I guess I have the same curious question about the timing of that extension. I'm assuming that means they get thrown onto the late January meeting.
So what these typically mean is when you are granted an extension of your annual license, you have requested an extension to submit documents related to your annual license. So they may move from meeting to meeting. So this one may have been scheduled to appear at the September meeting, but needed additional time to collect the documents and submit them. So then they have now requested to be moved to the November meeting. So it just moves them from one meeting to the next per their request.
Understood. Okay. Commissioner Stefan, do you have any you want to pull from items 1 through 14?
I do not.
Commissioner Cross?
I do not.
Commissioner Whitaker?
No, I do not. Thank you.
I don't either. Then do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for section K, items 1 through 14?
So moved.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, which moves us to L, the motion for request for extension of time to comply with contingencies. And there is only one item here. We'll take it individually. The Skincare Academy of Florida, Bonita Springs, number 10193. If you are here from that institution, would you please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself?
There is no one on the line. Oh, wait, there is a person on the line.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Dr. Hajar AJ with Otero Consulting Group.
Good morning, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Never better.
Awesome.
Want to make sure, thank you for being here. Want to make sure that you and your client there don't have any questions or comments about staff recommendations.
No, thank you very much. We do not. And I do want to update the Commission that the program has been approved by the Electrology Council. So the extension is no longer needed. Thank you very much.
Does that change staff recommendations, Director?
It does not. Let's go ahead and keep staff recommendations as is. That allows the institution to go ahead and submit those approvals and then for us to process them.
Okay, fair enough. Then, Commissioners, do you have questions or comments? Any public comment? Then do I have a motion for acceptance of staff recommendation for section L number 10193?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Closing out the single, thank you for being here, ma'am. Closing out the single institution for section L. Within section M, there are 9 substantive change approval and 7, I believe, has been removed, number 7. And then there is a list of 6 that would be pulled by the director. So there's, let's do it this way. We'll ask for a motion to take these items by consent because I already have the list from the directors and we'll ask everyone else. So do I have a motion for section M number 1 through 9 to take these items by consent?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Director, we removed number 7 entirely, correct?
That is correct.
Right. And if I wrote this down correctly, it is your desire to pull numbers 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, and 9?
That is correct.
All right. So, Commissioner Stefano, do you have any additional items beyond 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, and 9 that you'd like to pull?
Number 7 is removed. So, 1 second, please.
Commissioner Cross?
No others.
Commissioner Whitaker?
No additional.
Okay. I have no additional either.
Could we please add number 5 to that list and then none additional?
5 was already on it, I believe.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
You're referring to number 6380, the beauty school in Boynton?
Yes, that's correct.
Yep, it was already on there.
Okay, perfect. Then none additional.
Okay, so that would mean that we are asking for a motion to accept staff recommendations for numbers 3 and 6. Director, is that correct? Everything else would be ones that you pulled.
That is correct.
Okay, so do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for numbers 3 and 6 within section M?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Staff recommendations are adopted for items number 3 and 6. Let's back up and start with number 1, which is perhaps the longest staff recommendation I have seen in 2 years. Director, the floor is yours. If you are here from that institution, Fashion Cuts Hair and Beauty Academy, Ocala, number 5024, please raise your digital hand and unmute and introduce yourself.
There is no one on the line.
All right, it's all yours, Director.
So the current staff recommendation is to deny the application for annual license, find that a subchange has occurred, and issue a provisional license through January 31st, 2025, based upon failure to demonstrate compliance with Section 1005.318 Florida statutes. And then in order to maintain the provisional license, the institution will have to meet the 7 contingencies listed at the bottom, and they will have 90 days to do so. Oh, I'm sorry. They will have 30 days to do so.
Commissioners, do you have questions or comments? I do not either. Then do we have public comment? Do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for Fashion Cuts Hair and Beauty Academy number 5024?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries to accept staff recommendations and moves us to number 2, Florida Massage and Beauty Institute, Tampa, number 4477. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Irene Leon. I'm the vice president of the school.
Thank you for being here. How are you this morning?
Good. And yourself?
Never better. Ma'am, are you aware of and do you have any questions or comments about the staff recommendation that's before us?
I submitted the explanation already and the financial improvement plan. I wanted to add to that we open another branch in Wesley Chapel. That's why we were waiting for over a year for all the approvals. And that's why we, like our numbers, they weren't the best last year. The school has been running for 14 years already, and we've never had any problems before. Right now, we have so far revenue from students over a little bit over $500,000, and we've had over 100 students graduated already.
Well, thank you for that update. There's always a little delay between what you've submitted and what we see before us here. Director, the staff recommendations continue as indicated?
Yes, they do.
All right. Commissioners, do you have questions or comments? All right, no public comment. Then do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for Florida Massage and Beauty Institute number 4477?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is adopted, ma'am. Thank you for being here. And good luck with your continued improvement.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. That would move us to number 4. North Florida Cosmetology Institute, Tallahassee, number 936. If you are here for that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
There is no one on the line.
All right, then Director, I know you had pulled this one as well. The floor is yours.
So this is a recommended sub change due to financial soundness. The institution has a net loss as of December 31st, 2023 of $283,492, and they have a negative working capital of $88,315.
Commissioners, do you have questions or comments? Any public comment? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for North Florida Cosmetology Institute in number 936?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? That motion carries, taking us to number 5, which both Commissioner Stefano and the director would like to discuss. If you are here from Robert I'm going to say Fiance Beauty Schools, out in Boynton Beach, number 6380. Apologies if I mispronounced that. Please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
There is no one on the line.
All right. Dr. Stefano, Director, both of you wanted to have this discussion, and the floor is yours.
This institution is being recommended for sub-change due to being placed on probation by the National Accrediting Commission of Career Arts and Sciences due to placement outcomes.
I don't have any further discussion. I was interested in asking how the institution attended to improve these placement outcomes and if there's been any progress since they last reported on it. But given that no one is on the line, I think that we can proceed with the staff recommendation as written.
All right, then do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for number 6380?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries, taking us to, since we removed number 7, to number 8 within section M. That is the Commercial Driver's License School Miami number 1431. If you are here from that institution, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Michelle Hill, Director of School Operations with the Commercial Driver's School of Miami. And I also have on the line our CFO, Derek. He will be helping assist with the questions regarding our financial soundness as well.
Thank you both for being here. We appreciate your time. I think I understand the siloed nature of the perspective we have on that financial soundness, but it probably doesn't capture the full breadth and scope of your entire organization. I'd be happy to let your CFO speak to that a little bit if you'd like.
Absolutely. Derek, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. So that's correct. So in preparation for the audit, our auditors, PricewaterhouseCoopers, required us to present the financials with transactions with the parent company of CDL schools, which really masks the profitability and of the school, given that there is cash that's moved between the CDL schools and the parent, and also an allocation of corporate expenses. When you remove those factors, the schools are profitable and very healthy financially.
Understood. Well, I know you guys stay busy down there. So thank you for the explanation and for your time and patience to be able to make that clear. It's, the information we always get is always a window, and we don't necessarily get the full breadth and scope of all of it. And Do you guys have any questions or comments about staff's recommendations and anything you'd like to add before we ask for motions?
I do not at this time.
Sir, do you?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay. Then commissioners, do we have additional questions or comments? I'd like to ask one thing, Director. I know we ran into this a few times, particularly when there are parent companies overseas or private equity or sponsor-backed or organizations that we don't really get to see if we look at a location-specific P&L. I know in the past that we had talked about trying to capture that information and not necessarily burdening a otherwise profitable institution with that sub change because we could see the bigger picture. Where are we with all of that? I know it was a large discussion last year and one that we were trying to implement.
So we're following the rule, which requires, as we've talked about, the institution's profit and loss statements have to be shown. So for the foreign corporations, they are still submitting the parent organization, their financials, and then we're also asking for the P&L for the individual locations, so we can see those as well. We will take those both into consideration when we make these decisions in order to best serve the school and the students, but we still do take the parent organization into account as due to the fact that if the parent fell, then the institution, the actual location in Florida would fall as well.
Yeah, for you guys on the line, I want to make sure you understand it's not punitive towards you. It's that obviously you can understand how a parent organization might make a decision at some point for a location that appears to be not profitable to fish or cut bait, right? So we have concerns about the longevity or the appetite of people to maintain that. So just want you to understand the sort of foundation of why those questions are being asked. And of course, it's nuanced with every parent company. But thank you for being here and for that explanation today. I'm satisfied with that. Commissioners, do you have any additional questions or comments? All right, do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for item number school number 1431, item number 8 within section M?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thanks for being here, guys, and thanks for the explanation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
That moves us to item number 9, which I believe is the last pulled of this section. If you are here from Trinity Vocational School, Miramar, number 1920, please raise your digital hand, unmute, and introduce yourself. May not have anyone here. Director, this was one of yours to pull, so you have the floor.
It does appear that we have an individual on the line.
Okay.
So one or maybe two individuals on the line. So one moment while they attempt to join.
No rush.
Hello? Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Edwin Sharpless from Trinity Vocational.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for being here. Director, perhaps you could explain to the representative why you pulled these.
Yes, so staff is recommending denial of the annual license due to the following reasons: failure to submit a financial statement in accordance with GAAP by a CPA for the fiscal period ending December 31st, 2023. Number 2, failure to submit a completed Form 604 accompanying the December 31st, 2023 financial statement. The third, failure to submit a current municipal business license. And fourth, failure to submit a municipal fire inspection. And then we are recommending that the commission find that a subchange has occurred, issue a provisional license through July, and then stating that in order to maintain that provisional license, they must comply with the contingencies, for which there are 6 listed, within 30 days of the clerk's order.
Sir, do you have questions or comments about the staff recommendations?
Yes, for the financial reporting, we actually have sent them to you guys and received a return receipt saying that it was received. So I don't know, that's new to me as far as you guys not receiving for 2022, 2023. And that we actually have the paperwork here.
Is that a component of our, the delayed nature of our information?
Because we submitted, we had requested an extension originally. We submitted all the paperwork that was asked of us as far as the financial report, the fire report, and the business license. The date that it was submitted was
29th.
I'm sorry, when?
May 29th.
May 29th.
The deadline for the extension was May 31st.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And we have this letter here, everything for the extension.
Did you guys hear that?
Yes, give me 1 second. We do not have currently in front of me receipt of those documents, but give me one moment to check on something.
Thank you. Okay, we have the tracking information. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. I'll wait till she comes back.
We are not in receipt of those documents.
Okay. I do have a tracking number from UPS on delivery, and that it was claimed to be delivered on June 1st, 2024, 5:23 a.m. And then there was also a copy emailed to our representative Ashley as well.
Yeah, perhaps with that cutoff being the couple of days before, it's just an overlap between when it actually arrived.
It could be. We'll be happy to take a look at that. Since they are contingencies in order to hold a provisional license, if they have submitted those documents, then we can review them to determine whether those contingencies have been satisfied as well.
Okay. Director, would it be your recommendation for them to work with their program specialist to leave the staff recommendations as is and sort through those over the coming weeks?
Yes, that would be my recommendation.
Okay. Then, commissioners, do we have additional questions or comments about this? Public comment on this? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept staff recommendations for number 9, section M, Trinity Vocational Schools, Miramar, number 1920?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Staff recommendations are adopted. Thank you for being here, sir. We'll sort through those details. It sounds like there was just a couple of days overlap between submission and the information we have in front of us.
Okay, thank you very much.
That moves us to section N, branch campus applications, of which there are none. Section O, name change, there are none. Section P, agent training programs, there are none. And item number 13, program terminations, there are none. Item number 14, approved applicant letter sent, there are none.
Commissioner Williams.
Yep.
Just a real quick update. So there may be reports in those sections. 13 through 16 are reports for program terminations, approved applicant letters, licenses sent, closed school reports, and agent quarterly reports. And those can all be taken together by consent.
Okay, let's do that then. So then do I have a motion to accept, let me make sure I'm saying this right, numbers 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 by consent?
Just through 16, 17.
Well, not 17, because we can't take your comments by consent.
Well,
So-
I mean, while you're at it, you might as well throw 18 in there. I just,
Yeah,
you know, so-
let's just include the adjournment. Yeah, no doubt about it. So then that would be a motion for numbers 13, 14, 15, 16 by consent.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All right, moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries, which would move us to number 17, which I would never want to deny for commissioner comments. The floor is available for you guys, should you have something to add.
But I do think you spoke for us yesterday, Chair, and you mentioned how great the staff is, and I just want to echo that with Director Hurst's leadership and how smooth this goes and all the preparation that's needed. So just want to express my appreciation, and also to you, Mr. Chair, for having the longest tenure as interim chair and doing such a fine job, and just really appreciate your leadership here. And really appreciate it.
Well, I serve with the pleasure of Commission and Governor. It's my pleasure to be here. Sad we couldn't all be together. I do enjoy these when we're in together, and as much as it is efficient, I do think there's some value to face-to-face interaction. Look forward to getting back on schedule without hurricanes. Director, Counselor, do you have anything to add for comments for the Commission?
I do not, Chair Williams.
I do not either. Thank you for the kind words expressed to staff. I know that they work extremely hard to make sure that this agenda in front of you has all the elements and that it has been vetted thoroughly. So we do appreciate your kind words, and I will be sure to express that to the staff as well.
Yeah, I want to throw in there this is an observation that we could potentially substantiate with data, but it feels as if there has been a much greater attention to detail by applicants, both new and renewals. In the 2 years or so that I've been on the commission, it feels as if some of the schools are recognizing the importance of being detail oriented and thorough with their submissions to us. And as a result, we get some really good information now, and it makes it a lot easier to really understand or at least potentially understand what's happening on the ground with student outcomes. And I think that's a cultural shift, which I think is awesome. And it's one that is collaborative, because I can't count the number of schools who's noted how awesome the program specialist is. And I've said before that too often governmental bodies see themselves as gatekeepers, not facilitators. And it's our job to help Florida grow and make sure that student outcomes are the best possible. And it feels like that's what's happening. So I just wanted to state that for the record. But if there's nothing else, we can move to number 18, which is an adjournment.
We do have one public commenter, it seems. Mr. Bob
Sure.
Harris.
Hey, Counselor.
Good afternoon. Hey, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Always.
Okay. Well, yeah, I just want to, I feel compelled because of the comments that have been made to say the same thing, basically. And that is, I can tell you after doing this for 40 years, the changes that have been made the past couple of years by both the commission members and the staff with Ms. Hurst's leadership and everyone else, it has been remarkable. I've heard it. I hear it every day from the schools directly. And leadership is a good thing. I think the expectations of the schools, Mr. Chairman, have clearly been made by staff, and schools are very much like children. If you lay out the expectations, they will follow them, generally speaking. And I think most of the schools have done that. They have seen the need to do that. And I have heard the very same thing, that they understand the details are important. But again, that starts with the leadership of both the commission and the staff. And I appreciate it very much. So I just want to say that it's very important.
Thanks for that, Counselor. Did I hear you say you've been doing this 40 years?
In March of '85 I will have attended my 40th year of meetings, exactly in March of '85. March
So
of
you're like
2020.
you're like 9 years old the first time you attended one of these, right?
Well, actually, I was seven. Yeah. So, yeah, it's been remarkable. It's an extraordinary. I don't know how people do this every day. I'm amazed every day by what these schools do and what they do for the people in their community. We get criticism occasionally, but those things are really the small part of what these schools do. It intrigues me how they do what they do every day, and that's why I'm still doing it after 40 years. So,
thank you for that. Appreciate
Yes,
it. Voluntary participation in competition is how capitalism excels, and every good operator wants to eliminate bad operators for the health of the industry. So I think we're all on the same page there. It feels really good to be part of it. It really does. So thanks for those comments, Bob. We appreciate you.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other public comment?
There is none.
All right, then I think we can move to adjournment. I want to thank you guys for being here today. We will get our lives back on schedule after the hurricanes, and wish you all the best and good luck in your continued efforts to make sure we have the best possible student outcomes. Enjoy the rest of your day and your week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, good day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, commissioners.